Hello everyone. With Debo being traded to the Washington Commanders, this just feels like the right time to make the episode about 49ers, and it just so happens that it is actually on the schedule. Welcome to 11th episode of Road to Super Bowl Season 3, where we take a look at how the San Francisco 49ers fare in their 2024 season and what awaits them for 2025. No further ado, let's just start with reviewing their draft. So, their first pick was Ricky Pearsall, and as you can see, I was slightly lower on this pick since I just didn't necessarily understand the process with him being drafted and Brandon Ayuk being extended. It really didn't feel like with Juwan Jennings, with Debo Samuel, with George Kittle, you have enough room to feed yet another potential very good wide receiver, and on that roster, there has been some holes that this just doesn't fix. So Ricky always felt like a bit of a luxury in case they didn't trade Brandon Ayuk, which they didn't. But 1 year later, we are in the situation where Debo is gone and Ricky's rookie season, despite being, let's say, put on hold due to him being shot, which is insane. But fortunately, he survived. He's been able to get back on the field, which is the second, definitely second or more important thing in this dilemma. And to be fair, he did look solid when he was out there. It was not anything special, but he definitely looked solid. After Ricky, they drafted Renard Green, and I was really high on this one. I feel like this is a very sound process and getting a good player, though higher than the public opinion, not necessarily that I thought that this was any type of steal, which year one proves that he has definitely potential to be, and he definitely gave them something to talk about with Charvarius Ward being out of contract. Because Ronaldo definitely played like a guy that when you want to go cheap and younger at certain position, this is a type of rookie performance that if a guy puts up, you are kind of, yeah, we are going to do that. So, really nice first season for Renard Green, and we will see if his role even expands towards year number 2, with potentially them not bringing Charvarius Ward back. And now we go and, what is there to say? Third pick and third success so far. Ricky Pearsall was but Dominic Puni was an absolute hit. For rookie guards, this was one of the most memorable seasons definitely in my memory, but I would say even across almost the whole history of the NFL, because he was just freaking great. And this offensive line was for, I would say, a couple of years. We have Trent Williams, who is arguably one of the best or the best left tackle, but overall O-line player in the entire league, and which is the most important position is left tackle. And next to him we have kind of a bunch of guys, and just having Trent makes this O-line solid. But now they've hit on Dominic Puni, which is gives this O-line an element that they didn't necessarily had for several years, and it was much needed with Trent Williams not playing some games, as well as him obviously being close to, let's say, hanging on his cleats, already being 37 years old. So Dominic Puni, an absolute hit, and I wasn't higher enough. This was an A+ grade, definitely year 1, and I do not see him stopping there. Then yet another pick that I was slightly higher on, but slightly. I really like this one. One of the safeties that I really had top 3 to 5 on my board, and felt like this was not necessarily a spot where they should be available. And year 1, he was just damn solid. He was not special like Dominic Puni, but he was a very solid player. And when a lot of talk was about where this is last year of the 49ers Super Bowl window, at least for the older guard with Ayuk, Trent Williams, Nick Bosa probably not, but George Kittle, Debo Samuel, perhaps Christian McCaffrey, etc. I mean, you can really see that with this type of draft, you can definitely jumpstart your next window very, very quickly. And the thing did not necessarily end there because of CMC's injuries. Isaac Guerrero was called upon to play, not necessarily super quite often, but he got his snaps and he definitely looked like a man for the job. Only Jordan Mason's ascendancy to really, really nice player kind of pushed him down the pecking order. But again, then seemed to find a very nice running back here. When we talk about Ricky Pearsall and not necessarily like being huge on the draft pick, especially when they drafted Jacob Going, whom I was a huge favorite, I was really feel like, well, they need to trade Ayuk now. Like that this is like fifth wide receiver in that room. But they're like, no, we don't need to. Jacob didn't really get his opportunity year one, but for year two, with Debo gone, his time might be to shine. Nothing really to talk about with Jarrett or Tatum here. So, with that being said, their draft 1 year into this looks absolutely amazing. Like the only, and it's like hard to even call it disappointment, seems to be Ricky Pearsall, but this is completely for like off the field situation, and the fact that he handled it, the fact that he like thrived with the opportunity, I think we can see very nice stuff from this young man. So, spoiler alert, he's going to be my draft blunder, but only here it was like, I don't really see him as a blunder, but I wanted to make a video about him or make a short about him later, that he would be put out in some type of draft content, because obviously as a draft hit, you have to go for Dominic Puny. But I just wanted to appreciate Ricky Pearsall rookie year. The title will be misleading with him. I'm sorry for that. So that's that. With that being said, let's check their 2024 roster, how they matched up, how they played. So we obviously start with QBs. Brock Purdy. The conversation on him is really interesting for me, because obviously when you are Mr. Irrelevant, aka the last pick of the draft, it's like you probably lack some elite traits, and Brock Purdy doesn't have the biggest arm. He's not the, let's say, most athletic quarterback out there, but he's very smart and he fits this offense very, very well. And a lot of people calling him like the product of a system. I mean, yes, but similarly, the system was in place before him. Kyle Shanahan was in place before him. Kittle was there. Ayuk was there. And he definitely puts this system and puts this game plan on another level. And just like, for example, Tua in Miami, though like Tua I have on lower level than Purdy, it's like, well, he fits this, what we want to do perfectly, and it probably makes him look better than he would be on other teams. But it's like, not really anyone can run what we do here. So, like, his traits are needed for what we are trying to do here. So, while I do think that his production is definitely partially elevated by having such a great weapons around him, I feel like he is the one that's giving this whole thing like completion. But now, obviously, his rookie contract is coming to an end. He is going to be entering his fourth and final year. And the talk is about how much should we put on his contract. And I'm like, I'm not sure that you should putting too many zeros on there. If his demands were under 50 million, given his age, given how prolific he's been with this offense, and given like the salary cap increases being quite nice over last years, I would have close to zero issues with that. I feel like that's where his worth kind of matches his value. But if we are talking around 60 million a year, somewhere like again close to this highest paid or close to that QB in the league, Here comes my issue, because despite him being really good, they haven't really won that much with him on his rookie deal. Obviously, there was his injury. They've lost in the Super Bowl, but still, like, this was the year where some of the stars next to him were not like there to play. And did he look as great as he did last couple of years? Not necessarily, though. Like, it's still just his third year, so it's like hard to not think that he might get better. But if the system would be like super dependent on having this elite after catch threat like Deebo Samuel was for a couple of years, like this guy that you can pretty much do anything in, even in the backfield. Now with Brock Purdy on like close to 60 minutes, you probably cannot afford this luxury. Might be why Deebo is traded, though there's other reasons as well, as we will discuss. So with Brock, I absolutely understand that he's going to go as high as possible as his first contract. So far, he's earned like $3 million in the NFL. So yeah, like absolutely go for it, man. I have zero issues. But for the 49ers, I would be hesitant. I would think about trading him. I know it sounds barbaric even. But I would thought of that. I feel like Kyle Shanahan and these playmakers they are in here are exceptional enough that you could do with someone like the Vikings did with Sam Darnold and go for a next young man in line and like hope that you can have him in place to be what Brock Purdy is within his first 2 years of the contract and then enjoy that on his rookie deal. I understand like why getting rid of something when you already have it in the room. It's like, well, because now it's not going to cost 1 or 2 million a year, but 60. And when this is like 20% of your cap, you obviously need to think about this situation. I personally don't think that they will let Brock Purdy go. I think the contract is going to get resolved. San Francisco also has, I would say, luxury of the owners being able to really push money down the line, bring up the cash, as they say. And with that, you can definitely optimize your window even with QB on such a high contract that Brock Purdy is probably going to sign. I wish him nothing but the best, but I'm not sure that he is the guy that has it within himself to elevate towards being top 5, top 7 QB in the league. And to me, those are the only guys where when the extension from their rookie deals is at place, I am not hesitating about putting them for a contract for next 4 to 5 years on top money. With any other guys, I do, because how long it has been since, like, when you are going for the Super Bowls, it's really hard to go there with a guy that's not at least top 10, has the potential to play like top 5 if any given year, and actually you are going to win the Super Bowl. Like, it's really freaking hard to do that. It requires incredible drafts, so you are surrounded by young and cheap talent on your way there. Enough talk about Brock Purdy. I feel like this was the year that he earned himself that contract, because even with Ayuk injured, Deebo not playing well, and overall Trent Williams missing for several games, CMC was not there, he still was able to elevate this offense towards really nice level, not necessarily top level, but really nice. Joshua Dobbs, kind of fun experience, brainy backup. He was playing 1.5 game, did his thing, nothing really like to talk about more. Like probably one and only fullback that I have on my roster right now, Kyle Juszczyk. He's just such a beast of a player for what 49ers want to do. So I just needed to really like appreciate him, because like I think even he is right now or not. Let me check. Is he a free agent or not? No, he has one more year. but he is like part of the I don't want to say dying breed, but yeah, kind of that. So now let's jump into running backs, and obviously the huge story was Christian McCaffrey injury. He was not there for pretty much the whole season. When he was out there, he did not look like the best running back in the league. Obviously, there was still something bothering him. He wasn't 100%, and then he went down again. I am a huge fan of CMC, despite him playing for my rival. As me being Seahawks fan, I am not necessarily rooting for the 49ers, but this young man, young is quite exaggerating in terms of like NFL age, because he's 29. I just hope that he can get back out there and be 100% of himself. Like, I don't want this to be another like Nick Chubb type of situation where it's just injuries tears down what could be like something truly special for several years to come. I hope he's out there. I hope he's the very best version of himself. But if he's not, 49ers seem to find really nice players to like follow in his footsteps, not necessarily obviously replace him, because CMC was the best running back in my opinion, or like dual threat running back, let's put it that way, 2 years ago, and one of the best offensive players across the whole league. But Jordan Mason, a really nice find. This was his first season, first time that he got like more snaps than usual. And with Isaac Gando, they found another piece with their draft there. So I do not expect them to touch this room by any capacity, because Jordan Mason is really cheap to bring back, and the same should go for Isaac Guerrero. Let me check. Yeah, Jordan Mason is restricted free agent, and Isaac obviously is going to be in his second year, so like they don't need to bring him back because he is back, unless they cut him for some ungodly reason. So very nice room. It just depends on CMC's health, if they have potential to be special or if they're just going to be fine. Now let's go to wide receivers, and as I already mentioned when we started this video, Debo is no longer on the roster. And we start with Debo because he's become more of a nuisance for his team in terms of he was loud, he was demanding more balls, more touches, but he could not deliver on them. It was kind of really unfortunate for him, where his tweets got viral, and it was the week that they actually targeted him more, and he was dropping balls left and right. But besides some of the drops that he had and some of the loudness that he had in this season, it was also he did not felt like a guy that can do it all again. It seems like his body is starting to slow down, which is to a surprise of nobody, at least to a surprise of me, not a surprise of me. Like he absorbed so many hits during his career. He's playing this position very, very physically. He's not like your typical wide receiver in this. And, you know, it was about to happen. We will see how this will translate towards Washington. With Cliff Kingsbury, with Jaden Daniels, with some new start for Debo. It really reminds me of the situation of Stephon Diggs last year. It's like kind of loud, very big name wide receiver, demanding a trade from successful organization, and goes and plays with a rookie QB. Like, Diggs to play with CJ Stroud. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see Diggs across full year. I hope that we all get this chance with Debo. And you can kind of see from the trade value that it's not high. Just like it wasn't super high with Stephon, but here it's even lower. It's just a 5th round pick. So they are clearly kind of done with Debo. Obviously, they are saving some money, though they are carrying a really big cap hit with him. So, like him being traded right now is going to put all the void years towards towards this one. So instead of having cap hit of 15 million or 40 million, is going to be 30 million, but they will clear books for going forward, but obviously won't have Debo on their roster. With that being said, this was supposed to be Brandon Ayuk ascending to the eliteness type of year, and unfortunately it was cut short due to injury, though when he was still healthy and still playing, it was not looking like this is about to happen. I don't know whether this was some of the off-season. Sorry guys, cat is bothering a little bit. Whether it was some part of his off-season being focused on trade talks slightly more than on football, where it was just like, last year set super high expectations that he does not necessarily is about to meet every single year, or whether it was just like him being just slow off the blocks towards this year. We will never find out. And he is going to have his role cut out for him next year, because now it's kind of his room. Though, is it? Because Juwan Jennings, my favorite out of these three guys, because he's not your big name, he's not your superstar in the making. I feel like important starter is probably where his ceiling is kind of set. But this dude is 7th rounder, really a player that grinded, played hard, blocked his ass off, and was like, I would say, happy for any target that went his way. And in a year where Debo was not Debo, CMC was injured, Brandon Ayuk was injured, they needed him to step up and deliver in terms of his catching abilities as well as playing hard, and he delivered on both phases. So Juwan Jennings, huge tip towards this guy, and them signing him before that year would have been a very smart move. Unfortunately for them, right now there is only 1 year on his current deal, and if he continues to play like this, he's going to get really pricey, and I wish nothing but that for him, because I feel like he definitely deserves one big contract in the NFL. So good luck, Juwan, for you. With that being said, we just go towards the tight end room. And George Kittle, I just really feel like was robbed from his first All-Pro accolade. I mean, I love Brock Bowers. I felt like he was insane for a rookie, but George Kittle was a better player even this year. He just was. He was exceptional as a pass catcher. He was exceptional as a leader of the depleted team, and he was still an insane run and pass blocker. So huge kudos to George Kittle. To me, he is the best tight end in the league. And with that being said, yet another player on this 49ers roster that I'm rooting for, which kind of pisses me off a little bit, because it's never fun when your rival team has players that you like this much. So this is his final year of the contract. He is going to be 32, and we will see what the future holds for him. But I do expect that, he just enjoys football so much, and I would say football here in San Fran, that I do expect him to be there for several more years. Now let's move towards offensive line. We already talked about Trent Williams. Upon his standards, this was, I would even say, mediocre season, which just kind of tells you how insane his standards are. I feel like at some snaps you could see slight parts of age showing up, but I would say the most important thing to realize that this was a very tough year personally from Trent. Not only that he got injured, but there was the family tragedy, losing a child, and that's just where, when you look at the 49ers season, it just, they just kind of never had the chance, man. Like so many family tragedies across this team, so many injuries. And again, despite them being this Seahawks huge rivals, I was totally sad for them because, dude, this group of players deserve better and their families deserve better. And that's why when Drake Greenlaw kind of walked out on them during the game, I was like so pissed at the guy because I do understand sometimes you like want to put your interest above the team because you feel like they perhaps mistreated you or something. But when you look at this team struggling with so many issues that are kind of out of their control, wicketkeepers are being shot, these family tragedies, injuries, I would not walk in like million years on this bunch of guys. So that's just me getting a little bit emotional. Back to Trent, I still think he is a top dog and he has still 2 years on his contract, and I absolutely do expect him to be back within his old self, even for next year. On the other side, Colton McKivitz steadily improving from being just a nice piece of this offense. Now he is, I would say, very solid one. Not the guy that will elevate your offense, but the one that you are definitely not scared about. Unfortunately, Spencer Brentford feels like a player that they did not hit on. He was a 4th rounder, so you might argue that good backup is still a nice outcome. At this point, it's like, is he even that? Because he kind of, when he gets on the field, he looks like a problem, and he obviously rarely gets on the field because his quality is not matching the outcome, or like is kind of matching the outcome. With interior, they have potentially developed something in Aaron Banks in his final year of what has been a disappointing rookie campaign, or like a rookie 4 years for a 2nd rounder. But the question is, what are you going to do about him because he hits free agency right now? And he's not necessarily a guy that you need to bring back, especially when you hit on Dominic Puny. So you will have some type of continuation, even with the interior, whether you kind of like it or not. Dominic Puny is not going anywhere. And with Jake Brendel kind of following footsteps of several other experienced veteran centers that are carving themselves really nice role for like 5 to 8 millions a year. They are just your steady presence, like being guys that are maxed out, but you kind of absolutely know what you are getting from them, and it's not a huge issue. Like, it's not something that's going to win you the game, but they became like definition of smart signings, Mitch Morse, etc. Like there's let's just look at several centers that kind of match this description in terms of you get them in their 30s, they are just very solid players, and they can deliver you that year in, year out. So Ted Karras, you have like Coleman Shelton, Ethan Pochich is in that area. I've talked about Mitch Morse, like something from Bradley Boseman, Greg Bradbury. So this is like the guys that you know that they are not going to win you a game by any stretch of imagination. They will not be your strength, but they will not be a stone that sinks you down. And for that type of money, with cap hits being obviously concern for everyone, which is something that I absolutely love about the NFL, unlike MLB, where you just create your dream team and you play Oakland A's. Yeah, good luck. In this area, like finding this type of signing, especially for positions that when you are a veteran, you are kind of really having this upper floor, like you are not going to make a lot of, let's say, snap mistakes that would be costly. This is a really nice way to manage the team. We already talked about Dominic Puny. He is a star in the making, unfortunately, for Seahawks. Now let's switch towards defense, and Nick Bosa had yet another premier season. And they kind of low-key did not set him up very well to have one, because they traded Eric Armstead and kind of replaced him with Gross Matos and Floyd. I was not a huge fan of these two guys, like kind of almost taking the exact same cap hit as Eric Armstead when you count some of that cap that the trade created. And I was like, okay, two is like better than one in terms of if one goes down, we still have another. But in terms of quality, you are definitely like lowering your standards, and as well, it just kind of creates this situation where teams can really focus on Nick Bosa, which happened. But Nick was like, yeah, good luck with that. I can handle double teams. And it was even like greatly exaggerated when Javon Hargrave went down after just 144 snaps. Because when you look at the situation, like, yeah, Leonard Floyd had 11 sacks, but even with that, like, his PFF grade was ridiculously small for a guy that has double-digit sacks. And the reason for that is most of his sacks were created by someone else, and he was just being there, capitalize on someone else. Really nice work. So that's where you kind of cannot allow just one number really say the whole story. So if you see 11 sack season, you are like, oh my god, what a signing. Nope. And let's check this out. Both Gross Matos and Floyd were just the guys in my opinion. Really nothing that gives you any sort of edge. It's more like you need to create that edge for you. And then you look at who played significant snaps across this whole defensive line. So we have Evan Anderson, undrafted pickup within the season, which like he delivered some nice performances, but obviously like this is not a guy that like creates you any advantage. Same you can say for Kalia Davis or Sam Oku Ayunonu. I hope I did it right. Like, don't get me wrong, finding these guys as your fourth pieces across the D-line for as cheap as they are for them, really nice work. But it's like Nick Bosa really looking for that help for someone that will create the pressure with him, and these guys ain't that. And Gross Matos and Floyd ain't that either. And with Javon Hargrave going down very early in the season, it's like, okay, Jordan Elliott, Malik Collins. It was really one-man crew, like kind of similar to how they had O-line for several years with Trent Williams. It was like one elite player and then just bunch of guys, like with no disrespect to them, like what you expect from them, though I would say like with the money they paid Gross Matos and Floyd, they expected slightly more than that. And it was really on Nick Bosa to deliver, and he did. Like, he still made this D-line don't definitely like fear like they were in Eric Armstead's prime with Robert Saleh like a couple of years ago, but they were still absolutely functional despite several injuries, several departures, and like really being filled out with below average and backups. Like, that was what he was working with. So really nice work for Nick Bosa. Let's move towards linebackers, where they have the best one, in my opinion, in the league, in Fred Warner. I understand Roquan. I feel like Fred Warner is doing it longer, doing it better, slightly in my opinion, and he's just a special player. Again, close to 1,000 snaps. Huge kudos to him. Unfortunately, oh man, I'm sorry, Dre Greenlaw. I'm so freaking sorry. I've misspoken Dre Greenlaw over Devondre Campbell. Oh, sorry, my man. Sorry for that. Oh, huge mistake. It was obviously not Dre Greenlaw, who unfortunately wasn't really able to suit up for a huge part of the season, only playing 34 snaps after his unfortunate Super Bowl injury. It was Devondre Campbell who was being faded out from the lineup with Greenlaw being back, but also with like some of the snaps going to Devontae their 6th round from last year. And he was the guy that walked out on this team. So freaking sorry, Dre. Anyone find this in this video, call me out on that. I've misspoke. What the fuck? It's just, like you're thinking about linebackers in this year and it's like DD, he started with the same and just something meshed in my head. Once again, I'm really sorry, Dre. I hope you will be 100% for next year, because with him, this linebacker situation is, I would say, the best in the league with Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw. Obviously, Dre doesn't have a contract for next season, and it's going to be interesting to see how he approaches that, because he is still just 28, and it might be that he is seeking for, I would say, like family health, which would mean probably signing somewhere a long-term deal that would guarantee him to get taken of himself, or whether it's going to be, well, I want to stay here. I'm not saying they cannot give him longer-term contract, but here it would make total sense if both sides kind of met up. Well, Dre, listen, you have not been able to play. We offer you 1-year type of deal, 9 to 10 millions. It sets you up quite nicely, even if, your health betrays you once again. We want you back, right? And if you kind of reprove yourself, now let's talk about a big contract. And I would say that would happen for the rest of the league. I feel like this is probably the best how both Dre and San Francisco can handle this. Obviously, they can take a chance on him, sign him to long-term deal, but there is also like, is that even in best interest of Dre? Because the deal is going to be like undervalued in terms of what kind of player he is based on the injury that kept him from his final year. So we will see how this shapes up. With Devondre Campbell, I already talked about this. They brought him here to be like this safety veteran backup here. And he was like solid player behind Fred Warner. But the end of his stint kind of makes me wish that I don't see him play, man. Like, I've obviously not been in his head in that situation, not really like been in his locker room, but it feels so shitty to walk out on the team and that's been going through so much as 49ers were going through this season. Like, from the perspective of how the locker room must try to stay together, and just walking out of them feels shitty. With that being said, let's move towards safeties. Another player similar to Dre Greenlaw in Talanoa Hufanga, who struggles to stay healthy or like was not able to really perform this year due to injuries, and it was also his final year. And unlike with Dre Greenlaw, where there is not necessarily a clear successor, though the Winters, like I said, had quite a solid season. So if they want to go cheap there, they might, give the Winters the reins. Here, Malik Mustafa is absolutely ready to kind of take on his spot, and even Jair Brown, in his second year, had made very nice leap. So despite Hufanga being, I feel like right now, better player than these guys, and obviously you see I have them like 2 grades apart, there are injury concerns, and obviously he's not going to be cheap. So yet another situation where we will see how the management handles it, because if this is about let's try to attack Super Bowl while we still have George Kittle, while we still have Chad Villev, let's give ourselves the best opportunity this season for 2025, you do expect them to bring Hufanga and Greenlaw back. But if it's more like, okay, we went really kind of all in, tried to use Brock Purdy's rookie deal window, now we need to make this more sustainable, and we need to do that by replacing some of all the older players with young, cheap guys on rookie deals, like we did with Debo contra Ricky Pearsall, it feels like. Here, Hufanga and Mustafa, Like, I will not be shocked if we won't see Hufanga back with 49ers. With that being said, like this young safety room that you can have for cheap for next 2 years, really played like not a problem for you by any stretch of imagination. And they, based on like Hufanga, showed that they can even develop like talent that they don't necessarily draft in a first round. So, yeah, they definitely fit together quite well. And kind of this story of replacing or letting go these great veteran players that are still playing on a really top level or like really great level could be yet another team with Charvarius Ward. Yet another guy who suffered from off-field tragedies this season. So my praise to him and his family. But unlike the other guys, when he was out there, he did not necessarily look like a top dog. Obviously, for all of the things happening, I am not necessarily putting this against him, but for him, it's obviously very, very unfortunate timing, which because this was his final year of a deal, and it definitely lowered what he's going to get on the open market. And just like with Jay Greenlaw, it might just be a situation where like the mutually beneficial thing would be, well, you are not like super old. He's going to be 30 entering the season. So like there's still one good contract in him. Maybe it's just like, well, let's come back to environment that you thrived at for 1 year. We're not commitment deal. We kind of know what we want from each other. We want from you really great presence to show the league that you are still top dog. And with you, we can obviously have a better chance of winning Super Bowl this season. And you are going to get, that chance for Super Bowl, as well as your chance of showing the league that you are still a guy that is worth paying top money, or not necessarily top money, but really huge bucks. But kind of like with Hufanga, the question is, will they do it? Because they've already paid Deomondre Lenoir before the year. And he delivered, I would say, very solid season, though they paid him like 5 years, 90 million. So they do expect that there is a number one corner in him, and he like played like top of the number 2 guys. So there is still some growth needed, but he is still like within that second window of his NFL career, so post his rookie deal. And with him being really good and Renardo Green being very nice hit as a rookie, we can yet again see this might be a farewell story for kind of this whole generation or half of the generation, like Debo, like Greenlaw, like Hufanga, like these guys that are not 35 plus, 32 plus, but were part of this like second Shanahan Super Bowl window for 49ers. And they still have within themselves a really nice career ahead, in my opinion. They got, beside Green, they got something even from Isaac Yiadom, who never really came close to what he was drafted as a really nice prospect in top 100. He had a very solid season last year, but even after that season, the amount of money that he got paid was only 1.9 million, which when you think of what he showed last year, where he was based on PFF grades, which are definitely imperfect, but they are good orientation, but also you have to put into account the contracts that this guy's signing, because they tell you even more. I would say that contract contra PFF grade, I can learn more from the contract or contract situation for the player than I can learn from PFF grade. And the fact that even after such a solid season based on PFF last year, he only got 1.9 million contract, which is almost veteran minimum. That tells you where the league is necessarily on him. And it's not like he played 200 snaps. It was over 500. So it was not the full season, but it still wasn't like just flashes in the pan. He's not under contract for next year, so we will see how the 49ers will handle this room going forward. So, with that being said, let's hand out some rewards. For draft hit, it's going to be Dominic Puni. Absolute monster, especially in terms of running game. He was mauling dude ahead. Like, you don't want to get one-on-one inside. He can embarrass you. Like, he is that good even as a rookie. He looked bigger than he was in college, and he was able to really take opposition that he faced at college level and like transform to being able to face the like 3 levels or 4 levels better opposition in the NFL with ease, which is very rarely to see for offensive linemen. And huge kudos to Dominic Puni. In terms of draft blunder, it's a category that I've thought about not really revealing here, but I had to because I wanted to take a different spin on this one. So, like compared to some, like Brian Thomas, Led McConkey, even Xavier Worthy, like compared to guys that went around Ricky Pearsall, yeah, he did not deliver. But when you look at the situation, like behind Ayuk, Debo, and Jennings, and being shot, he carved himself really solid for the year. And this is just me appreciating that Ricky is alive and is well, and just hope that whoever done that, like I did not research necessarily the name of the culprit, really thinks about his actions in the future. And I'm just so happy that Ricky got out of it and his life is, I wouldn't say intact, because like no matter what, being shot will change you. Like psychologically, some stuff will not be the same, but he seems to be doing very well, and good for you, my man. I'm so happy. In terms of cornerstone of this franchise, there were several candidates, but at the end of the day, I couldn't go for anyone else but George Kittle. Like I said, I thought like he was the best tight end across the league. But what really made me pick George Kittle for this award was this was the year where a lot of shit hit the fans with the 49ers, and none of that was like their own doing. Like this is not, Cleveland Browns signing Deshaun Watson or like the franchise being rotten through and through, like was for a couple of years or several years with Washington, like, or some type of turmoil due to ownership or some type of like Jerry Jones shit in Dallas. Like, I don't like 49ers, don't get me wrong, but as an organization, they are run super well. I feel like players do like it there, and like amount of things that went wrong this year was just insane, and not wrong, like they were like humanly sad. And in this type of year, just showing, guys, I'm here for you, I will lead you, I will not give up under any circumstances, I will be there, I will be the best version of myself, which he really came close to it. If it wasn't it, like that's really, really hell impressive, and kudos to my man George Kittle. In terms of unsung hero, this was really like, I couldn't go with anyone else. Juwan Jennings, like similar to George Kittle, with Ayuk going down and Debo having a down year, they needed him to step up, not being just an insane run blocking wide receiver that is ultimate like team player. He's going to put his body down the line for the guys, but he showed like, guys, I am fucking insane wide receiver as well, like is really as the part of receiver. And man, oh man, I just hope that this guy is going to like survive through 2025 season uninjured, and he will secure the bag, because there is not that many players that I wish that they would secure the bag for themselves to really being able to set up their families for life as Juwan Jennings. So, and unfortunately, with the flop of the year, we stay in the wide receiver room. And to me, it was like two-part discussion. I obviously thought about Devondre Campbell, but it was like, I don't really want to dedicate a video to this guy, because every award will deserve a short. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to get a video for him. So with Debo, it's not like he's been super bad. It's not like he is still not Debo at some place, or like I don't think he can thrive with Washington. I really like this landing spot for him, and I really like him for Jaden Daniels. So everything of that is true, but you could see that there was some wear and tear, and also like with the way he really demanded the ball, like I really feel like one, not necessarily the season for that, like for let's say having an attitude, and two, if you have an attitude, fucking deliver, and I don't think he did. So that's why Debo is my flop of this season. With that being said, we run down 2024, how they set up, we handed the rewards. Now let's see where this franchise is at overall. So with head coach Kyle Shanahan, he is one of the premier head coaches in the league. He gives you offensive prowess. He gives you, at this point, even maturity. Like, like it might sound weird, but he might be like probably not the older half of the head coaches in the league. Still just 45, but with this a lot of young talent taking reins, and then you have NFC West with obviously Andy Reid, Mike Tomlin, one of the Harbaugh brothers. I always struggle to John and Jim. Like, guys, why are both from J? Like, come on. How can I tell? And obviously now joining them is Pete Carroll. Then you have this insane Hall of Fame experienced one. But with that being said, like Kyle Shanahan is like this middle-aged for head coaches in the league, which is kind of insane because I still remember when he was one of the youngest to ever do it. In terms of how their 2024 go, you have to go D. Like, this was, they were in a Super Bowl year prior, so being not able to even get into playoffs is undoubtedly a huge fail. But there are several things that absolutely softens the pain there. One is they had really nice draft, and two is, well, the circumstances just weren't in your favor. And like I said, the softening the pain, I feel like what they found within the locker room, I feel like this is the year where a lot of leaders shows up, a lot of like unity is being created. So I think they have a possibility of sticking together even harder than they necessarily went before. In terms of QB, it was kind of hard because I was still grading him with like 1 year left of his rookie deal, which that would be like 2 pluses for sure, because you are getting a really special production for a small amount of money. But it's like, well, it's only for 1 year, and they are contemplating making him one of the highest paid QB in the league, and that would kind of make it a minus or 2 minuses for me. So I'm like, probably just a minus, because I do trust in Brock Purdy as being your franchise guy. I'm like, okay, so with that being said, I'm probably stuck on giving the situation 1+, and we will see where it goes. In terms of hot seat, like kind of the only reason why this is not a 1 is if Brock Purdy is going to get signed for a huge contract and he does not necessarily up his game or even has like a drop-off, this might be tied to like Kyle kind of handpicked him, and I feel like he is a guy that really wants him back because he feels like he is the QB that he was looking for this system. So his ties are kind of tied to him, and also like it's going to be tough process to really refresh this roster. Like we talk about Ward, Kittle has 1 year left on his contract, Trent Williams is 47, Debo is gone, Ward could be gone, Grillo could be gone, Hufanga could be gone, or they all don't have. So this could be a tough process to go through, but I have an utmost respect and a huge expectation for Kyle. In terms of finances, this is not necessarily a great situation, because using that Brock Purdy window, they even turned it up a notch when they were like, okay, we will also push some money down the line, so we really can go for it. So despite them having 51 million free cap right now, They have 34 million in dead cap. It's going to get bigger with Debo, and a lot of money is being pushed down the line, whilst they don't have the benefit of a rookie quarterback, or that quarterback on a rookie deal for more than 1 year. And this kind of only say, and there's like not necessarily like super value deals on this roster, but it's being greatly safe, and I might give it just a minus when they really went kind of hard about the Debo situation with this rookie class that is going to provide an immense value for years to come. In terms of strength of this team, you could go several directions. I decided to went coaches because Robert Saleh is joining this crew back here, and him as a defensive coach and Kyle Shanahan as offensive guru / head coach, I think that's kind of deadly. And with Robert, the thing that it didn't work with Jets, I unfortunately again trust that he is going to hit this up and running with the 49ers. In terms of division, from their perspective, I would say it's kind of neutral. You have this Rams team that was the closest team to actually get rid of Eagles on their Super Bowl run, which is really not talked about very much because, well, they were 3-2, 1 minute to go. I think it was 5 or 6 points down in that situation at like Eagles 15-yard line. And I think at that point, if they just ran the ball, get the first down there, you have 4 opportunities to score a touchdown and most likely win the game. With Matt Stafford, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, like let's say I need 12 yards and I have 4 attempts, I fucking trust them to get it done. So unfortunately for the Rams, they went for a passing play on their third down. It ended up Jalen Carter sack, and with that they went for 4th down and long and did not convert. So Rams are, I would say, in a really good situation. Seahawks are kind of this, I would say, mid-level team as of right now with some potential, but also not a super strong situation with Geno, in my opinion. Like, I don't feel like he's necessarily the guy that is going to push you over the edge. And with Arizona, I don't think they are mid-level team as of right now. I struggled with Kyler later part of his year, but they are doing some stuff really nice there. So this is kind of like really 4 teams that, from Arizona being down here to Rams and 49ers being here, that I would say kind of average out themselves when you look at this from perspective of 49ers. That being said, let's look at how their roster for 2025 could shape up. So in terms of offensive line, the only question that you have is whether you bring Aaron Banks back on or not. And I was doing that because like he had his best year, and I think even for him it could be beneficial to get back within the same system, within the same organization, perhaps for like similar to when I talk about Ward. Like, okay, I would say the market on you is unsure and uncertain. So okay, let's come back on 1 year prove it deal. That deal is going to give you, even if you never played the snap in NFL, don't tell me that, even after taxes, 7 million, so like let's say 3.5 million, you cannot live from that for the rest of your life. I mean, $3.5 million ain't no change. So I'm not saying that it's a generational wealth, but any stretch of imagination, but it gives you this real nice cushion that you can fall into in case that things don't work out. But you expect, I will show up in a system that I know with the chance of going to a Super Bowl run, which would definitely like up my stock even more. And it could be like the best for him and for 49ers as well. Though the risk for special banks, I feel like even if they resign him for a 1 year contract, they will address this situation in terms of draft, that they will try to bring another interior piece there. And if Banks would not deliver, he might get benched, and that could be it for him in terms of looking for this nice, lucrative several-year deal. With the rest of the online, I really feel like this is going to shape up Trent Williams, Jake Brendel, Dominic Puny, and Colton McKivitz. And the only thing that stops that are some off-field stuff. With Brock Purdy, I don't see him holding out. One, it necessarily does not work out for players, though like QB is definitely the one position that has the leverage. But I feel like they will figure this one out. And, it might even be like some type of, 2 years, 120 millions. So slightly not committal, but generational wealth type of contract that like allows them to continue to reevaluate, and it allows Purdy to get set for life. I would not be shocked if this could be also how this situation is approached from both sides. Like at the end of the day, I'm not necessarily thinking that it's going to be like that, but why not? Like this is something that really interests me, whether, this type of approach, like this shorter contracts, could be something that gets like discussed and talk more often, but not only from like organization might like it, but I feel like even player like Brock Purdy is like, I cannot get 4 years, 240 as of right now. Like I am still Mr. Irrelevant. A lot of people don't believe that I can do this with without the great players around them. If I sign this 2-year extension, like I'm set for life. My kids are set for life. Their kids are set for life. This is really nice money, and I'm only going to be like within my 6 years of experience in terms of NFL, and I'm going to be 27, 28 when I am again like entering the end of my contract. And that definitely can mean like at that point I can sign 5-year huge extension. The cap hit is going to be bigger than it is now, so it allows even me to get like better opportunities. So I really wonder, like obviously from the franchise standpoint of view, like you want to have stability, but also we've seen several times over a couple of seasons that a lot of franchises get stuck with a QB that is underperforming, and they have to get rid of him with a huge cap hit. So from their perspective, it might also be something they want, but I'm not really like sure that it's necessarily a bad thing for QBs either. So yeah, just the thought out there. In terms of their skill players, this situation that clearly you have Ayuk, you have Jennings. The question is Ricky Pearsall your number 3? But I do expect them to commit to him. I think he showed enough to absolutely deserve this. With tight end and running back, it's Kittle, it's McCaffrey. The only thing that stops that is McCaffrey's health. And we could have brought Jordan Mason here, but I feel like they might be looking with still like Kyle Juszczyk on the roster. I was not necessarily certain that I want to like have him in this picture, where I feel like this is those guys that will get the main share of this offense. In terms of backups, Jalen Moore, Spencer Bartford, it's not insane strength. It's not something that you are happy with. I would say you definitely bring some veterans into that room, but also I do expect them that they could still low-key looking for a guard in draft. And with running back backup, it could be Jordan Mason here, it could be Isaac Garando here. I think they both, their role is going to be kind of determined based on CMC's health, and also based on how they are going to use him, because it could be real beneficial for them to ease up CMC to 10 to 15 touches in first half of the season, and that adding 20, 25 towards the dog days of January where you need him. In terms of other backups, I'm not really sure who they're going to bring back. To me, this screams Joshua Dobbs is a guy that you want here. He will understand what you need to do. He is a solid backup. Let's bring him here. That's that. Let's check the defense. So Nick Bosa, Javon Hargrave, and I don't know. That's pretty much how I view this D-line. So they do have Leonard Floyd. They do have Yetur Gross-Matos, but both of these guys are, I would say, cuttable. On Leonard Floyd, you are only saving $2 million this year, but you are saving 6.5 next season. On Gross-Matos, it's 3 million now and 5 million later. So they are not on necessarily like super huge savings. They are also not like on super expensive deals, but I'm like, I'm just not a huge fan of like them thinking as a starters. If they are here as your rotational number 3 guys for this type of money, I'm swallowing that. I wouldn't say for sure, but it's like, yeah, I would do that. In terms of linebackers, like we know, Fred Warner is going to be here and is going to be tearing it up and down. With Jared Greenlaw, I really feel like this is a beneficial situation for both of these guys. As a team, I would like to have Greenlaw back. I feel like him really snapping his Achilles during the Super Bowl, like you don't want to end a contract like the stint here like that. So I think he wants to be back. And even if it was like 1 year prove it type of deal, I think he's going to be. In terms of secondary, I do have Charvarius Ward back here. And I don't have Hufanga. I feel like overall, you are better prepared to lose Hufanga than you are prepared to lose Ward. And also, I feel like he is more of a presence from like locker room perspective, as well as I think Hufanga is going to look more for money because this is going to be his first contract post his rookie deal. And I feel like 49ers are not the team that should be overpaying him. While with Ward, I feel like there is more to it towards him coming back. With the situation last year, I haven't like read anything bad in terms of he complaining how the 49ers handle the whole situation. I feel like from what I gathered, they were really supportive of both him and Trent, which, like in their personal tragedies. And similar to Dre, I feel like he could be of mine. Like I have some unfinished business here, as well as, like I said, I feel like they are more prepared to lose Hufanga and not him. The rest I think is absolutely clear. Mustafa and Brown, like super cheap, super exciting young duo of safeties. You probably willing some veteran to back them up. And Lenoir and Green are your starting corners. Whether Ward is back or not, I feel like these two guys are going to play because you paid Lenoir and Green, and he delivered, and Green really showed off as a rookie. In terms of backups, like I don't have Floyd or Matos here. I really feel like with Saleh being back in town, I'm not sure that he's going to be like a huge fan of these guys, and he might try to like redo this room like into his image. So with them being on the chopping block, at least for me, I do not trust them to be back, but I might be wrong. I do think that this is not going to be the case for Malik Collins, who is just, to me, like much cheaper version of what these guys are, but he is a tackle, they are edge. And like nice, very nice number 3. And I feel like you have something in UDFA, Evan Anderson, as your guy into rotation. But again, it could be slightly different with Robert Saleh back in the room. In terms of rest of this defense being sorted up from the perspective of backups, I don't have one. I feel like the only part of this roster that I should have brought more to your attention and who should have made the card or he should have made this presentation is Deventers, because he showed some nice flashes as a second round linebacker, and I think at worst he's going to be their backup, and at like best if they really trust in him, and want to get cheaper and want to make this like slightly more sustainable towards years post Trent Williams, post perhaps George Kittle, and towards like Brock Purdy being paid very generously, they might even consider not paying Jack Greenlaw. Like, he might be a reason why you just want Greenlaw for 1 year and not for multiple seasons. With that being said, this sums up the 49ers. Obviously, this was not the season you wanted for them as 49ers fans. I'm sure it was full with disappointment and it was full of heartbreak on and off the field, but I feel like towards the future it can make you stronger, and I feel like several guys on this team absolutely show their character for, and most likely for better than for worse. So from a rival, I wish you the very best, and at the very least I wish you health and good fortune for your families. Thank you very much, guys, for listening. If you like this, leave me a comment, leave me a like. It will help tremendously. Until next time, have a nice day. See you. Bye-bye.